look at that picture over there. There's the Earth coming up. Wow, is that pretty?
Two. Hello and welcome to the first image critique session of the 2025 Astrophotography Prize. We are thrilled that you have joined us from wherever you are across the world. I'm Robin Campbell. I'm going to be your panel chair for this session. Tonight we are joined by some legendary astrophotographers, but before I introduce them, I'd like to take a moment to thank our incredible sponsors. Thank you so much to our major sponsor, Celestron. Celestron are awarding our 2025 overall winner with a $3,000 Edge HD telescope. How amazing is that? In addition to this, if you shoot your image using a Celestron OTA, you are in the running, should you be the highest scoring image, to win an incredible Celestron Skymaster. No, it's not the Skymaster. It is an incredible system from Celestron. You can check out the details on our website. Tonight, they are also giving away Skymaster Pro 15x70 binoculars. So if you have submitted an image, we are at the end of the session putting everyone into a random draw, and somebody will be lucky enough to win a pair of incredible binoculars. Thank you so much to Celestron. Thank you also to our category sponsors, Sidereal, Move and Shoot, Move, Shoot, Move, Deep Sky West, Chroma Technology, and Deep Sky West again. Our runner-up sponsor is Astrography. So now that I've mentioned our sponsors and I will be telling you more about them throughout the session, I get to introduce our great panel of judges. So these are the people that are going to be critiquing your images tonight. Welcome, Luke Sharkey. So Luke is a Tasmanian-based landscape photographer known for his stunning nightscapes of the Milky Way and Aurora Australis that he takes mostly in Tasmania, but I'm sure there's a few incredible sites outside of that as well. He's the overall winner of the 2018 David Malan Awards, and his work regularly features in Australian Geographic and other publications. Luke combines scientific precision with artistic vision and actively supports dark sky conservation by donating images to raise awareness about light pollution. Welcome, Luke. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me, and lovely to be part of the judging this year.
Fantastic. Also, we have Diego. Diego Colonello is a deep space specialist and a very valued member of our judging panel. He's a 3-time finalist in the prestigious Royal Greenwich Astronomy of the Year Awards. He's also the creator of AstroWorks. His custom-built ultra-premium Newtonian telescopes are sought after by astrophotographers all around the world. Welcome, Diego.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Sensational. And finally, we have Andy Campbell. So Andy Campbell is a globally recognized astrophotographer. He is a long-time photography judge, a grandmaster in the AIPP, fellow of the New Zealand IPP, and WPPI master photographer. He's been shortlisted multiple times for the Royal Greenwich Awards and featured 6 times now, I think it is, in NASA's Astronomy Picture of the Day. He co-founded the Astrophotography Prize and has judged for over 25 years. He champions both technical excellence and creative growth. So, welcome, Andy.
Hey, everyone. How you doing? Good to see you all.
Thank you also to our amazing tech crew. We've got Daniel behind the scenes who has developed some incredible software that allows us to bring these images to you tonight, and Nathan, who is our other tech expert. So they're working to keep things running smoothly. So I think if we are all ready, we may be able to go to our first image. Sensational. So this image is in the astro landscape category, and the image description is roads. Where we're going, we don't need roads, and it's shot on a Sony A7 IV Sony FE 20mm Bonaro Polaris ISO 1600. Luke, did you want to have a quick comment about this one?
Yeah. Yes. First off, just looking at the composition, I love the alignment with the Milky Way directly above the vehicle there, and everything's looking pretty sharp, which is really great from a technical perspective. With the image in the way I'm sort of thinking about it is around the color scheme or the colors there, and I'm sort of picking up sort of a greeny kind of color in the I guess it looks like a twilight blend anyway. I can sort of see maybe some last part of sunset there, so it sort of can kind of see what looks like a daytime to nighttime blend going on there. So from my perspective, that sort of has a bit of an uncanny feel to it. I don't know if the foreground's necessarily reflected like the feeling of a nighttime environment, as the stars in the sky might reflect that. So so from a feedback perspective, I'd be looking at trying to make the foreground feel a lot more like it was more of a nighttime environment that would then match what the stars are sort of indicating. It's obviously a really beautiful execution on a Milky Way shot, and so it's important that feels like it connects with the landscape in the scene. Otherwise, for someone like myself who really enjoys seeing how has a feeling of reality to it, it would be a struggle for me to judge an image in a like a higher sort of award category just based on that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That is fantastic feedback. And the point of tonight is for entrants to be able to show their images, get some feedback, see how they can bring them to that next level. So thank you so much, Luke, for sharing your expertise. Next image, please. So this is in the category of astro landscape, and the image description is moon eclipse. Who'd like to have a chat about this one?
I can go. So I think it's got a really great concept of getting the moon and the eclipse in the shot. And I think where I'd be looking as a judge for an interest value in the image. And so it's about finding a subject in the foreground that kind of works with the celestial object that's there, and how that all interrelates. And so, for example, the cow in the field in the foreground, ideally that would have some sort of balance with the main feature of the moon there. And so it's about trying to work out how to align that cow in a position where it works a bit more with the celestial object in the sky. But it looks like it's pretty sharp and taken pretty well in that sort of respect.
Fantastic. Thanks, Luke. Andy, did you have something to add there?
Just echoing some of what Luke said, but just adding in that generally with images, if you're spinning a photo upside down, your eye will go to the brightest point of the subject of the image. And if the brightest point of the image is not the subject, then maybe it's something that deserves a bit more thought. So in this particular image, my eye's going straight to that shed, whereas I think either the moon or perhaps the juxtaposition with the cow could be stronger. So I guess what I'm seeing there is a little bit of distraction rather than sort of focusing on the I was going to say blood moon, on the lunar eclipse.
Fantastic. Thanks, Andy. I can see the entrants probably going to get out there with their painting brush on the weekend. Next image, please. This is in the deep space category. The image description is M83. Southern Pinwheel Galaxy. Now, if this image was taken on a Celestron, and if it happens to be one of the highest scoring images or the highest scoring image taken with a Celestron OTA, they actually win. I'm going to get this right this time. An Origin Intelligent Home Observatory. How cool is that? I can see everyone's going to rush out and quickly get an OTA because it's valued at over $4,000. So thank you, Celestron. That is such an awesome prize. Who would like to comment on this one?
Happy to
Diego,
participate.
you? Thanks,
Yes.
mate.
This image shows an interesting close-up of this popular galaxy. Great resolution and detail on the galaxy. The only thing I could comment is that the processing is let it a little bit down because of the tone of the image, the color gradients that's showing, or it doesn't show the background as I think it should please the rest of the image to balance the colors in there. So I think that's letting down the work of this photographer.
Great feedback. Thank you. Andy, anything to add there?
I think Diego's kind of nailed it. I think the galaxy itself, we probably want to see those stars a little bit bluer, as a bit more of a natural color coming through. And although it's a little bit of a challenge, a little bit more attention paid closer to the center of the galaxy itself. But in addition to that, it's well framed, it's well seen, and well done.
Fantastic. We'll go to our next image. Thank you. Okay, and this image is in the Astro Landscape category. And the image description is Bus Ride to the Milky Way. Luke, how are you feeling about this one?
Sorry, just loaded. Yes. Great. That looks like a single capture to me in this one. And there's been a lot of it's a really fascinating subject, actually, and I can understand being out in the rural or out in the outback like this and coming across something like that. It makes a perfect sort of a focus for an astro shot. A few things I can see. I feel like with the Milky Way, it's quite bright in the highlights in the Milky Way, and could be just watching out to not lose that detail in the really bright areas of the Milky Way. It can be very, have a lot of excitement about pushing up the white slider or something like that, but that can actually cause even overexposure even in the Milky Way. So just bear that in mind. And I think the other side to it is that the foreground's actually got a little bit of noise in it, and so photographer could quite easily just cover up some of that noise with maybe vignetting in the edges a bit, so that there's a lot of detail there that you probably don't need to keep the eye on. Thinking about you've got the bus there that's painted, and then you've got the Milky Way to the right of that. So a lot of that foreground aspect, certainly in the bottom left-hand corner, is not really adding to the shot, and taking your eye away from the actual subject matter, which is really the back end of that bus and then the Milky Way there. So just thinking about maybe cropping or adjusting the image in a way where the eye is definitely going straight to the more interesting parts of the image, I guess you could say.
Brilliant. Thank you, Luke. That was very, very thorough. And I think, well done to the photographer. This is a sensational image. Next image. And we are, again, in Astro Landscape.
Well, this is a pretty phenomenal shot, amazing pano, and as a composition, putting the sort of two peaks there on kind of the third lines, or at least really well spaced out in the image, works really well. And then having the sort of is it the Milky Way or those elements sort of joining those two peaks together is really fantastic, and a lot of detail. It's pretty hard to kind of provide any additional feedback, really. All the highlights have been treated really well. The only thing I would be keen to look at is just making sure that the sky is blended well with the foreground in a shot like this, that there's no obvious halos or any sort of blending errors that can kind of sort of show that the image or the sky being put together with the foreground. So I haven't had a close look at that, but that's just something where you could lose points with the shot like this, but it's beautifully done.
Yeah, fantastic, Luke. When our judges see the final images, when we judge the winners, we give them to them in nice high resolution, and they get to pour through them on very high quality monitors. Critique notes, we don't quite go to that extent, but they still get them in high resolution. Andy, did you have something to add?
Actually, I'm just poring over the high res file of this one now, and it's razor sharp everywhere, and it's beautifully done. Just wanted to commend the use of the H alpha, either H alpha filter or sensor in this case, to pick up the Barnard's loop and the red there of Orion and so forth. I think that really adds a bit of depth to this otherwise quite strong composition. The Orion Nebula itself is a little burnt out. Maybe we could just look at the raw file there and see if that could be dragged back a touch. But other than that, I think Luke said it all.
Yeah, no, just having a closer look to the even the lights of the city or the town there, and none of that's really overexposed either. So it's very well handled, well done.
Well done to the entrant. You've certainly impressed both sides of the panel, our deep space and our landscapes, with the combination of the two in your image. Nice work. We'll go to our next image. Thanks, Daniel. So this is in the Astro Landscape category, and it has an image description. Multi-row panorama using astro-modified Sony and Tamron and astronomic H alpha 12 nm narrowband filter. Drone was used for the light trail. Thanks, Luke.
Very as a concept, and putting it together, especially with the drone use as well. It's extremely creative and very well put together, and looks like very well technically executed as well. I think from my kind of thought process is probably more around the foreground itself, and making sure that there's not too much detail in that foreground. I don't know if the foreground is interesting as maybe that it gets through to the back of the image, and how much of that foreground we really actually need to see. But obviously that is helping our eye lead in. But it's just about trying to remove any other distractions that might be taking our eye to taking us where we want the eye to go.
Yeah, brilliant, Luke. It's a bit of a common theme, isn't it? Making sure that the bright parts in the image are where you want the judges to look. And as a judge, you assume that everything's in the image because you want us to see it. So if it's not relevant, maybe think about darkening it down. Great feedback. Next image, thanks. This is in the deep space category, and the description we have is Messier 8. Diego, do you want to have a chat about this?
It's an interesting target, super popular target to shoot in the night sky. What can I tell? This person did a job that shows a lot of effort, but it lets down a little bit with the noise and the color composition of the image. I have the feeling it needs a bit more data to make justice on a target like this, and a bit more work that can be done on the processing of the colors that will benefit what this person is trying to do.
Fantastic. Great feedback. Andy, do you want to add anything to that?
I just, with the amazing ability we have to zoom in on the images, there's a little bit of softness with those stars. They're not quite as sort of round and sharp as perhaps they could be. And there's a bit of color in the stars themselves. They're looking quite pink. So I think if we could address those sorts of issues, because this kind of astrophotography it's hard. I remember when I first started out doing this and I was tearing what little of my hair out was there. And, when I first got an image, like this, I was delighted. I was so excited. I just wanted to show it to the world. And then I realized, well, when you start going down this slippery slope, you keep learning every day about, what other techniques you can embrace to improve the quality of your images. So I think this person's well and truly on the right track.
Fantastic. Great feedback. We'll have the next image. Thanks. So this image is in the Astro Landscape category, and the description is untracked image of Orion constellation with a H alpha nebula, information using 35mm lens, astro-modified Sony, and astronomics narrowband filter.
Yeah, it's technically executed really nicely. When I look into an image and I almost sort of start from the bottom and work my way up, and with this one there's these really interesting blades of grass right in the foreground, and I feel like obviously that may have been put on the deck or something, just in maybe absence of a tripod or looking over a fence or something like that. But those blades of grass kind of are getting in the way a little bit of our subject down the bottom. So just because we're looking at the top of the image and there's a lot of amazing things to see in the sky. We can't forget in astro landscape, we're obviously having the landscape as part of the image, and so that's also needs to be interesting and working with the shot. And often if you've got things like that that's sort of getting in front of our subject, it sort of becomes a bit of a distraction, just like you would if you had some glasses and you had a bit of glass over your eye or something like that. So you could it certainly could have a cleaner foreground there to really assist with the image.
Brilliant. Excellent feedback. Thanks so much, Luke. We'll go to our next image. This image is also in the Astro Landscape category, and the description is Lithgow Blast Furnace, New South Wales, sky, so it's 90 stacked tracked frames, 50 lights and 40 darks at 50 seconds. It's 4 focus stacked frames in the foreground, and they've mentioned the software being Sequitur and Photoshop.
Yeah, it's
Who'd like to comment? Thanks, Luke.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to go. Yeah, I've been to this location. It's a really amazing spot for astro, and I think it's probably the photographer's style, but for my eye, whilst the location and the technical execution's been fantastic, I'm finding it's got quite a kind of a very purple cast to it, or a very bluey purple tone, and that could also be the stylistic choice of the image. And you have to also understand that the judges might have their own viewpoints in terms of how they like to see nighttime scenes rendered, and generally speaking, in a competition, there's probably an aspect or an expectation that it's more of a natural kind of color palette for that time. So just considering if the color toning that's being used is going to work with the image and what might be expected for the scene, and then also in this respect too, the foreground, there's maybe the bottom quarter of the images is a kind of featureless, and whether or not that's actually necessary for the image as well. But the sky itself is fantastic. It's just with the astro landscape, we have to put that sky into a foreground that kind of really works as one cohesive whole.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much, Luke. Absolutely, you are right on. I love that idea of it being cohesive all the way through. Really, really great feedback for the entrance. Next image, thanks. This is a deep space image, and the image description is a 4-panel mosaic of the Tarantula Nebula, each at 2,560 millimeter focal length in HAL RGB. Each panel is 6 to 8 hours integration. Diego, do you want to have a chat about this one?
Happy to comment about this photo. Great job getting detail on this popular nebula. Now that I can zoom in and can see detail, it shows good tracking, detail on every corner. The color contrast between the types of gases on the nebula, I think, is well achieved, and the color of the stars, it's pleasing. The only thing I could comment is a bit of the sharpening. Some astrophotographers can go a bit crazy with the slide and trying to achieve sharpening, and we need to check the profile of the stars. And if anything, a little bit of the way you calibrate, it's hard sometimes to calibrate the black of the background. But in general, I think that the image presents really well for the astrophotographer.
Fantastic. That is excellent feedback. Thank you so much, Diego. Next image, please. This is an astro landscape, and the description is Milky Way over Oberon Dam, New South Wales, Australia. Thanks, Luke.
No worries. Yeah, with this one here, looks like it's been captured pretty well. There's some good sharpness across the scene. and I like the idea of composing the dead tree in the center, kind of surrounded by the live trees. It's kind of as a story. It's I can see where the photographer's going with it. For my eye, when like you've got the choice of either centering the Milky Way or centering the subject in the tree, and that's what's been done here. But then that sort of makes the sort of the Milky Way itself offset from the middle. So ideally we'd be trying to get an alignment where the Milky Way is over the top of our subject, and that would be otherwise it just creates a bit of an imbalance in the shot. And so there's also probably more detail in the foreground that really needs to be for a night shot, and that sort of reveals some dirty sins perhaps in terms of noise and some softness in the image. So you don't necessarily have to see everything in the foregrounds at all. It is a night shot, so it is very dark, so you don't feel like you need to reveal all of that, and should have a lot more impact because of that.
Yeah, fantastic. Great feedback again. It's one of those things about being a dark shot. You can definitely darken down the bits you don't want to see, and people probably won't mind. Next image, thanks. So this is a deep space image, and the image description is wide field centered on the Bubble Nebula. Diego or Andy?
I'm happy to talk. Interesting work by the photographer. Even more so when it's a target that I haven't even shot myself. Narrowband images present all the detail of only the gas, and the star color is left to the side. So being an interesting work, these kind of images, if I can contribute something, will benefit a lot by the rest of the band, so you can present color contrast on a target like this. The photographer does a good job on the stretching and pulling out details on the image. Tracking looks all right. The star profile looks good. It would have been, I think it's a bit of a lost opportunity not to complete the image, in my opinion, but it's quite nice.
Brilliant. Thanks, Diego. Great feedback. Andy, did you have something to add there?
Yeah, look, I think the thing with the, I think they call this the lobster claw nebula on the left-hand side. It's a northern hemisphere object. So the thing about that is that there's a lot of hidden detail in this one that I've seen in other images on Astrobin and so forth. And what I'd like to suggest is maybe in processing, just remove the stars and save them as a separate layer, and then maybe get right in there with Nik filters or one of those plugins for Photoshop, which would then enable that shadow detail to be lifted up so we can see more of this fabulous H-alpha features and some of the dark dust lanes and so forth that's there. And then relaying the stars back over the top, I think would give us a more complete picture. I think showing images in black and white is terrific. It creates a sense of difference. And I think it was E.E. Barnard who was doing that back in the late 1900s and giving us this sort of stuff for the first time. So if the entrant is going down that path, that's just a couple of suggestions to lift the image. I think composition, it works very well.
Yeah, lovely homage. I'm not sure they quite had the opportunity to work in layers like we do now, but I'm sure the entrant can use that advice to their advantage. Next image, thanks. This is an astro landscape image. No description.
Fantastic. I love scenes like this, and the photographer's done a really great job getting a nice sharp sky and foreground as well. And is that a bowlight coming down there as well? It has that green tail on it, so that's a pretty lucky capture there. And like going straight into the core of the Milky Way is pretty special. If that is one single shot, it's pretty remarkable having the person standing there and it all happening at the same time, because it would be hard to mask in the torchlight otherwise. So that's a pretty exciting photo. And realistically, the only feedback, I mean, it's a magnificent image. I'm probably just more curious around the colors in this image. It comes out very monochrome, and whether there's a color profile thing going on. I would have thought it could have a bit more sort of better color balance with the actual Milky Way core. Maybe it was a white balance thing, or just seems to have a very blue tone to it. So that's what I'd be working on with this one, because it's with a bit more post-processing color work and refining of the balance. It's an incredible image.
Yeah, fantastic feedback, Luke. Thank you so much. And it's another great thing to highlight for our entrants. Our judges notice everything. So it's not just about the composition or the sharpness. It's that color balance as well. You really need to tick every single box. But well done to the entrant. Next image. This is a deep space image, and the description is Helix Nebula in 4x palette from dual narrowband with an OSC camera. It's a RASA 11, a ASIO7 MC Pro, and SV 240 filter. Diego, want to have a chat about this one?
Yes, of course. It's a great image. I can zoom on the background, and I'm impressed by the amount of little galaxies that I can spot around, and it's something that interests me personally. The colors and the processing of the image look correct, look really good to my eye. The background, it looks clean, and this astrophotographer, in my opinion, demonstrates a technical level that it's desired in a lot of images. So I'm very pleased with this photo.
Fantastic, great feedback. Andy, do you have something to add there?
Just if one thing to note, the RASA 11 is a Celestron product. And obviously, the thing about the RASA is it's a very fast telescope. It can run at f2. And what that means is that everything has to be absolutely pin sharp and flat. And the photographer's done a great job of making sure that all the technical side of that is done well. My suggestion, though, would be to perhaps, if it's possible, revisit this target at some point and get bucket loads more data, because the Helix Nebula is a well-seen and popular target, but these outer chevrons, they're very, very, very faint. And with the equipment that the entrant has, if they were exposing for 20, 30 hours, they'd be able to pull all that extra detail out from that. As it is, it's a lovely image. Just wonder if it could go that extra step to lift it into a high award category.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Andy. Yep, we're going to need a high award category to take out the Celestron prize if it's shot on a Celestron OTA and the opportunity to win an Origin Intelligent Home Observatory. I tell you what, definitely worthwhile giving it a shot. Next image. So this image is in the deep space category, and the image description is Rojo Opichui, taken over 5 nights from my backyard. 245 millimeter astro lens, approximately 9.5 hours of integration. Diego, do you want to have a chat to this one?
I'm used to deeper targets, but I can see it's a lovely work by the astrophotographer. The color processing of the image and the framing of the photo, it's quite pleasing. The work he did on this person did on the dark part of the nebula, it's outstanding, and in my opinion, it has achieved a really good balance between the light and the dark on the photo.
Fantastic. Thanks, Diego. And Andy, you take a lot of images from your backyard. You understand the challenges of working with light pollution and so forth.
Yeah, and I shot Rogue off a Yukai recently at a dark site, and it's a spectacular region of space because there are just so many amazing things going on with color. So that said, on the left-hand side of the image, I think the color gradient there looks like it's kind of a greeny blue color that's washing through there. I'd probably want to have another look at that. And maybe Antares itself looks a little sort of blown out. There might be some issue there just with also on Sigma Scorpii. There's a bit of a halo around some of the stars there that might need a little bit of attention. But the other thing, just with this image, I think the photographer could let the contrast play a little bolder, because this image is this region of space. There's so much going on, and it's a really fascinating, wonderful part of the sky. And I think a bit more contrast and dynamic color could be lifted in the processing here. I think the data is there, just needs a little bit more of a gentle hand.
Andy's voting for a little bit more oomph in the color. Love it. Next image, thanks. And this is a deep space image of the Tarantula Nebula. There you go, Diego. Is that deep target for you?
That's all right. It's a great target. A lot of people chases it, and it's not an easy task to accomplish. This person is working with a difficult thing to do at this focal length. It's being let down a bit with noise, and it's a bit soft, if I'm not wrong. A little bit of problems with tracking, I can see on the images. Needs more data. It would benefit for a bit more data and a bit more attention to the selection of the data. When you take certain photos, you can go through them and choose the best ones, and that will avoid some of the possible issues that I can see on that image.
Brilliant. Thanks, Diego. Let's go to our next image. And this is the deep space image. We don't have a caption on this one, but Andy, I know you've shot this a few times.
It's this, yes, it's often popularly known as the Statue of Liberty Nebula, which is ironic because it's only visible to us in the Southern Hemisphere, and our American friends don't get to see this one. So the photographer's done a really good job of framing this. They've captured all the right bits in all the right places with regard to that. There's a little bit of kind of murkiness within the center of the, I guess, of the Liberty statue's waist area. There's a kind of a bit of a grayness there that's somewhat distracting. And I think we could see a little bit more detail in the shadows with this one, just to lift it up a little bit higher. But I'm sure that all the data's there. The colors of the stars are lovely. And I think the photographer's done a pretty good job overall with this one.
Fantastic. And you mentioned the grayness in there. What could you do to perhaps change that, or what could be done to address that?
Might be a case of just looking at some masking in post-production to look at that particular area more closely. Because obviously when we're shooting these sorts of things, they have this incredible dynamic range. There's super ridiculously bright bits, and that's obviously where star formation is happening, and these little stars are just exploding out there and generating so much heat with the dust and so forth around them. Just getting a little bit of a handle on that region of nebulosity more carefully with some perhaps a little bit of layering and masking would serve the entrant well.
Fantastic. That is excellent feedback for not just this entrant, but other people considering entering their images. Next image, thanks. So this is an astro landscape, and the description is celestial campfire, a tranquil fusion of earthly warmth and cosmic grandeur, where the Milky Way arcs above a handcrafted driftwood teepee, glowing gently on the foreline. Thanks, Luke.
Yeah, so it's a great concept for a shot, and I love the alignment with the teepee and the Milky Way too, sort of pointing up towards the actual center of the galactic core there. So that's really well seen and put together. There's always a challenge, of course, when you have objects that have been lit, especially inside, that there's as Andy was just saying, with the high dynamic range, we get that on the ground too, when you can have a really bright area of the shot, and it's very hard to make that sort of work with the darker environment that's around. So it has a really brightly lit feel to it. And so if we're having a really dark Milky Way showing up in the sky, it's really important that the whole image kind of feels like it's been taken at night time, or has that night feel to it. And if there's a bit of moonlight or light pollution, that can sort of get in the way of that sometimes too, of course. But yeah, I think it's a good one just to think about controlling those highlights, maybe taking a darker exposure and being able to blend that in, just so that we don't have some blown out areas in some of the areas where that we can't recover any of that highlight detail.
Brilliant. That is really, really great advice. And it's something that when you're judging photography, you do tend to look for detail all the way through the image, even in the bright bits. So great feedback. Next image. And we have an astro landscape with the image description of Horsehead Rock with the Etacarina.
Yeah, it's an incredible location for night photography, and the photographer's done really well to get into this position at night, and great sort of thought process in terms of including the deep space objects behind the horse itself. Amazing to think this is in Australia, really. But the what I've noticed is that it's a bit of a challenge to blend these kind of images together, and so it's important that when you're putting in a sky with a foreground, that it can kind of have a natural blend between the two layers. And in this case, it feels like there's no sort of gradient on the horizon. Normally you'd sort of see a bit of a atmospheric gradient there, and that can provide working with that can provide a level of reality, or making it feel like more of a natural type scene. And so it's just working with those blends to make sure that we can still maintain that. Maybe it's about darkening the foreground and letting the light sort of come through the image, but certainly working on those blends is a really good thing with this one.
Brilliant. That's excellent feedback. Andy, do you have something to add?
Yeah, look, this is a really moody, powerful, and evocative image. I think the entrant has found a really fantastic location. And as Luke was saying, just if you look to the left of that feature where the sky is blending, right on that left-hand arch, you can really see there's a little bit of a shadowing kind of, and I guess that's a bit of a telltale for what Luke was picking up on. And then when you go up just above into the Etacarina Nebula itself, the core of the nebula looks like it's been burnt in a little bit too much, and it's kind of the highlights are a bit lost. They've sort of become a bit murky. That said, the color contrast between the nebula with the H alpha and the deep sort of shadowy foreground, I think is extraordinary. So I think this image, with a little more care in the post-production, could certainly elevate it to another level.
Fantastic. Great feedback. And I can see behind the scenes all our other judges are nodding, so they're all in agreement. Fantastic. Next image, thanks. This is an astro landscape, and the description is March 2025 total lunar eclipse panorama with a moonbow captured earlier in the night. Plays on the scale of terrestrial versus celestial events in the size of the arches. Brilliant. Luke, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic concept, especially with the arc going over the waterfall, and I guess with the balance of the shot, I think that this is where I'd encourage the photographer to just work with that sky in a way where it's complementing the foreground a little more, and so in the sense of having the subject or area of interest actually below the actual arc itself. I can sort of see that it's leading your eye down to it, but the natural inclination for someone is going to be, I wonder what's happening at the bottom of that waterfall, and so you feel like you're kind of getting blocked by the cliff with that. Now, if there's no option to change that, then it could also be considering the foreground in terms of the fence, which it sort of takes away the feeling of a natural environment as soon as you see a fence like that. And so it's trying to put the image together in a way where we're feeling like we're right there on the waterfall, and it's right there in front of us, and the big arc going above that. It's sort of how I would be. And you can even see a bit of a moonbow down there as well. So potentially, so there's definitely a lot of good stuff, but it's sort of not in the foreground where we sort of want everything to be laid out.
Yeah, absolutely. You're sort of looking for that slightly more mysterious sort of feeling, aren't you, with all those rocks in the foreground? If they were darkened right down, I'd love to see that moonbow highlighted even more. It's just stunning. Great job to the photographer. Next image. And we have a deep space image, and the description is SH2 132. Diego?
Interesting image of a target that I've never shown before. Guessing it from the northern hemisphere. The image, it shows the photographer shows that tracking and focusing it's nailed, but the processing is letting down the image. The photo needs, in my opinion, better background calibration in order to get the color balance to a different level. But the rest of it, I think there couldn't be a bit more. It can be a better framing for the image, but if you could only work with that calibration of the image, I think it will benefit the work that that person is doing.
Fantastic, great feedback. And Andy Campbell, I saw you putting your little cropping hands up. What are you thinking?
Yeah, look, I'm thinking that if with this image is like all the content is there, and there's a strong contrast between the sort of the bright yellow regions and the bluer regions towards the top right. But if we crop out that star on the far left, our eye is being drawn out of the frame by that star and the one at the bottom. So I think if we crop those out, here I am doing the croppy thing, and turn it into a square image and tighten up and get in on like what Diego was saying of the framing of this image, I think it could be a lot stronger. So hopefully those takeaways will help the entrant with the image should they choose to run it in the competition.
Fantastic feedback. Thank you so much. We'll go to our next image. And we have an astro landscape. The image description is, I wanted the Milky Way to look like it was flowing down the stream and down the waterfall into the ocean. Thanks, Luke.
Yes, and it's a fantastic concept as well. Great storytelling and alignment too, having the Milky Way, the core pretty much directly in line with the flowing waterfall. And so a bit like feedback I provided earlier, for my eye at least, it's important that the foreground feels like it still matches the nighttime environment that the sky is captured in. And in this case, it feels very much more like a daytime image, even if there has been a lot of work done to bring that out from a nighttime shot. It's almost like sometimes you do too much work to bring that out, and then you it sort of has a bit of an uncanny look. And I could be to my eye, but the horizon may even not be quite straight there too. So just another thing just to keep an eye on. So getting that blend of the nighttime sky and the foreground looking natural, and then the whole image just sits together so much better as well. So, but as a concept, it's really fantastic, and just a bit of post-processing tweaks there, I think.
Yeah, look, brilliant feedback. And it's good to hear sort of, when a judge says a really great concept, because our judges have seen a lot. They've been around doing this sort of thing for a long time. So if you can impress a judge with a really great concept, that will certainly help when it comes to scoring. Next image, thanks. And we have an astro landscape.
Wow, yeah, absolutely stunning foreground here, and again, a really great story to be told. I love the sort of big curve in the middle, and the arc is sort of in the Milky Way is really just ties the whole thing together. It's got a beautiful cyclical feel to it, and so from a the narrative of it, it's amazing. I find the figure standing up there is very sharp, and almost too it leads a bit to an uncanny type of feel for me, just in the sense of it not I still don't feel like it doesn't feel like a nighttime foreground to me necessarily, and that sort of makes it feel that maybe it's the lighting on the figure on the left, but it just almost breaks my view out of this working, and perhaps also just the blend of the sky with the horizon. It's just there's not enough atmosphere there, I think, to sort of make it feel like it's sort of more of a natural blend there. But it's an astounding shot. Yeah.
Fantastic. I do love hearing wow was the first impression.
Yeah.
Andy, you had a little bit of extra feedback there?
Yeah, I'm a bit wow on this one as well. I'm particularly enjoying the air glow, the green color that we're seeing on the horizon there. I think that's been really well seen and handled. A little bit of noise up there in the sky. It might be nice to chase that away with some post production. And I kind of take on board what Luke's saying also about the framing. That horizon's sort of running right through the center of the frame. And I just wonder if we could just darken that foreground a bit to draw us into the image and look at more at that fabulous sky.
Yeah,
Well done.
fantastic feedback. Yeah, well done to the entrant. Next image, thanks.
Oh, there's another great. Oh, sorry, I'll let you read the description.
Yeah, no, all good, mate. All good. I can tell you're excited. It's an astro landscape, and the description is Galactic Harvest, a striking juxtaposition of industry and infinity, where the grain silos rise beneath the luminous Milky Way core. This frame captures the quiet dialogue between rural infrastructure and eternal cosmos above. Take it away, Luke.
Thanks. With this one here, I just have the feeling of it leaning a little bit to the left, and I'm not sure if that's just me or if that's there, or maybe sometimes it's just the way that some of the verticals in the image work. It makes you feel that way. But from a technical perspective, it's executed really nicely, and there's really great detail in the Milky Way core and that kind of thing. I am struggling a little bit with the colors in the sky. I feel it feels very the blacks are very black and blue, and so I'd encourage a revisit in terms of how that sky has been treated more from a color perspective. But it's a great alignment, putting the Milky Way core directly between those two silos. And there's probably a few other little distractions and things that could be cleaned up on the edges that would really hold this well. In fact, it sort of leads me, maybe the photographer took it a more of a portrait orientation shot here, where you don't have that tree on the left to distract you, and you get a bit of more of row there, and the top of the Milky Way. It gives a bit more of space for the top of the Milky Way as well. So if you had a portrait version, then that could have also worked quite nicely here.
Yeah, brilliant suggestions. You sort of think landscape and you do think that orientation automatically, but sometimes, to get that impact and the framing just right, vertical can be the way to go. Sensational feedback. Thank you so much, Luke. Next image. And we have a deep space image, and we don't have a title. Diego?
Really happy to talk about this image. Dark nebulas like this are difficult to convey, and I believe this person has done a great job. The color balance is there. I can see with the spikes of the Newtonian telescope, this person seems to be using. It's a sharp, contrasty image that I believe is doing a great job showing us a photography with the composition this person has done. I think it's a well-done target.
Fantastic. Andy, do you have anything to add there?
Corona Australis is a fantastic target, and this photographer's done a great job of it. Sometimes people call it the anteater because you can almost kind of see the eyes of the anteater and a long nose leading out towards the left-hand side. That said, I think we could probably afford to lift that dust a little higher in terms of the values there. Just see a little bit more going on in there, because there's a little bit of texture in there that I think we're missing. And I'm just questioning when I'm zooming in and pixel peeping if it's as sharp as it could be, but that just might be the file as it's uploaded now. It's a great image.
Fantastic. Sensational feedback. Thank you, gentlemen. Next image. We have a deep space image, and the scripture is capture of the cosmic bat nebula to commemorate the passing of Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of the Dark Nebula, RASA 11 ASIO 71 MC Pro. Diego, yeah?
Great photo. The composition of this image, it's obvious because of the shape of the nebula. It's only being let down by the noise on the background. A bit more data, I think it will benefit the work of this photographer. There is detail that I want to see on a photo like this, like the galaxies and stuff around the target. I wonder what happens with this big halo around a big star. But the only thing that I think is letting down is it needs more data in order to integrate better this area of the sky.
Mm. Yeah, sensational. Sometimes just, yeah, a bit more data goes a very, very long way. I know some of the images that we saw last year, and particularly some of the ones that took out the big prizes, were many, many, many hours. So nice work on the patience there. Next image, thanks. This is in the deep space category and it does not have a title.
Can I go on this one?
Yes, please.
Maybe I'm wrong, but it looks like an narrowband image. It's a good photo in terms of how the stars present and the focus. But I feel that the person has had the need to compensate noise with a lot of processing, and that's making it a bit softer, murky a little bit. Bit more data and a bit easier hand on the processing, I think, will improve what this person is trying to do.
Fantastic, great feedback, thank you. We'll go to our next image. And this is an astro landscape, and the description is star trails on a moonlit night.
Yes, and it's been extremely nicely handled with this image, getting the alignment there with the South Celestial, or I think it's the South Celestial Pole, and the waterfall there is really nicely done, and it's not an easy thing to line up. And the blending too with the star trail has been handled extremely well. It's not easy to do these sort of things with the trees, and making the stars appear in some very complex kind of layers there. So and having a nice close look at that at the moment, and it certainly is handled extremely well. So yeah, it's actually hard to provide too much feedback on this one, because it looks like it's moonlit, as it says, so that gives that foreground a bit more of a daytime type appearance as well. And they were lucky to not have too much wind movement, so that the trees are relatively still. So yeah, a very good image.
Sensational. And sometimes that is the case. There's not much more we can say. The photographer's done a really, really great job in capture. So for those listening at home, with our critique sessions, we gave people the opportunity to put in an image description. When it comes to entering the awards themselves, you have the opportunity to not only do a description, but actually supply a full detailed description of the telescope that's been used, as well as filters or lenses and cameras and so forth as well. And the judges then can use that information to help guide their opinions and views of the images. So for those watching at home that are interested in which telescope may or may not have captured different images, that's something that when you watch our live judging, you will get all of that information. Next image, thanks. We have a deep space image. It is M20, the Trifid Nebula.
Can I go on this one?
Yes, please.
Great detail on a super popular target. I can only assume this person is blending hydrogen with oxygen in that image. We don't have a lot of description. Really zoomed in, but that is also what lets down the image. When you zoom in that much, there is not much framing happening or context of what's around the image. It's a great photo of the nebula. It always benefits a bit more punchy colors coming out of the processing. I would have make it a bit of a wider field of view to enjoy more what's going on in there.
Yeah, great feedback. Thanks so much, Diego. Next image, thanks. And we have an astro landscape. Aurora Australis just starting to fire up over the Oberon Dam, New South Wales, Australia.
Oh wow! So it's pretty decent effort being able to get an aurora from up that way. So first of all, well done for being out there, to the photographer for making it all happen at that time. Not easy to do. There's a couple of things to note with this image. It's like actually it's executed really well. It's got really nice sharpness across the sky. I am picking up a bit of a stitching error in there on the left, sort of on the left third in the trees there. So it's important to have a really good look over all the images that we're going to enter for competitions, because the judges do have a look, and if there's any inconsistencies there, then it's one of those things. I would say with this shot, the aurora itself is actually the subject or the feature of interest, and so including that left-hand part of the image may not be needed anyway, and so that's just a consideration there. However, it's important too to have if you've got the aurora being the subject, having a foreground that complements that and leads the eye in towards where we're wanting our eye to go. And so maybe there's some other shots taken on this evening as well, where the foreground and those rocks and the water are reflecting. There's beautiful reflections there, and you can have the aurora with those reflecting rocks in the foreground. So there could be some other great candidates there from the photographer that evening as well.
Yeah, look, fantastic feedback. And so our entrants are aware, things like errors and stitching and that kind of thing, they can make a massive difference on scores. So the exciting thing about the Astrophotography prize is that you can get awarded with gold, silver, and highly commended prizes, in which case you can put a lovely logo on your image, have your award like a nice fine wine bottle, and show it to all of your friends. But you need to make sure little errors like that are fixed up and removed. And yeah, do your best.
I'll correct myself there too. Sorry, I think it's actually a clone spot that's been misaligned, or maybe it was copied and the settings were pasted on from a prior image, and so the actual healing spot is misaligned with the background. But yeah, so it's not the stitching error, but yeah, close.
Brilliant. Yeah, look, it's absolutely essential to be aware of those sorts of things. Our judges have like hawk eyes. If there is an issue, they will find it. So
and dust spots.
A dust spot, they will find it.
I can't not see dust spots for some reason. It's a curse.
I'd be a little concerned if you said there's thousands of dust spots in the sky are causing me some concern. But yeah, keep in mind, run it past your friends, because often as the photographer, you don't actually see those little things because you're so used to looking at your own images. Alrighty, next image. And we have an astro landscape, and there is no title in this one.
Cool. And I really love the colors, especially the colors on the horizon here, and the white trees coming out of the water. Yeah, it's just got a really nice color palette to it, to my eye. And is that the comet there as well, and on the right there? So there's a lot happening, and yeah, really love those trees in the water. And to my eye, the thing I'm just feeling is a bit like a constrained with this shot, and the Milky Way and the foreground don't seem to have a lot of room, and that still. I feel like if there was just that little bit more space in the image, no pun intended, then that could just sit nicer. But no, it's definitely growing on me the more I look at it. So I'd probably spend a bit more time with this one, because it's got a lot going on there.
Brilliant. That is great feedback. I love hearing when there's potential. So things can be done. Andy, what would you like to add?
Just while I'm pixel peeping here, I'm seeing like a zillion meteor streaks running through this image. So I think the photographer's captured, maybe one of the Orionid meteor showers, or perhaps a Leonid.
Maybe a lot of satellites.
And well, some of them are they move. They're not just in a straight line. So I'm thinking that they're meteors. That could be Comet Neowise, or one of its friends that has visited us recently. But the point being, I think that just there's so much interest in that sky. That if the whole thing were just a little bit more punch in the post-production, we'd be drawn in there and just sucked into that interest. And I think with that in mind, maybe we just take a little bit of the distraction from the foreground by making it a lot darker. That might lead us up there, because there's a lot going on in that sky.
I think it'd be a shame to lose those greens though, because even though that they're strongly lit, that's a really interesting color complement that might get lost if the foreground's darkened too much. So yeah, it's a very curious image, and yeah, it's certainly yeah, as you say, a lot going on.
Yeah, it's always that fine balance, isn't it? Great job, judges. I really love hearing all the opinions. It's so good. Next image. We have an astro landscape, and the description is the October 2024 aurora, a scene not often seen as far north as New Plymouth, New Zealand. The foreground lit by the moon.
Yeah, well, jealousy is the first thing that comes to mind with this shot. It's absolutely phenomenal, and what a scene, and amazing peak in the distance. Is that Taranaki there? A really stunning shot, and I feel like it looks like a single capture as well, which it makes me even more jealous. And nice bit of moonlight or there's something just to give a bit of side profile on the cliffs there. I think the only thing that's sort of buckling my mind a little bit is actually the little patch of sand in the bottom left-hand corner, and whether that needs to be there. It's great to probably, it looks like a creek or something coming out, but there's almost like too little of that there to really make you feel like it's a continuation of a beach there. So whether there's more foreground or I don't know, when you have a great shot like this, you have to kind of find bits to pull points off, I suppose. And so that's just thinking about distractions and how the shots put together could be a really great thing to consider in this, because there's not too much else for me to mention.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great testimony for going on a little bit of a holiday to New Zealand. Well done to the photographer. You might find some judges rocking up on your front door. Next image, thanks. And I think we have an astro landscape coming up. There we do. Fantastic. Thanks, Luke. Takes a little while.
It's just loading for me. Oh, there we go. Fantastic. Oh, brilliant. Another great concept again. Really hard to beat the old windmill with the Milky Way. And I think this one's just all about distractions. I think the color toning, the lighting's really interesting. The subject's well lit, maybe from a nearby headlight or some sort of light source anyway. And even there's a bit of a light dome on the horizon, and that's actually well aligned behind the windmill that could otherwise distract. So that's positioned well. And I think for my eye, it's a tricky one whether the actual the fence line in the bottom left-hand corner sort of helps to tell a story, or if it's acts as a distraction. In any case, I feel like there's still a bit of balancing that could be done here just to pull the image together a little more. Maybe it's a little bit top-heavy and there's a bit more sky there than there really needs to be, and maybe not as much foreground as there could be. And also towards the right of the windmill, there seems to be a sort of a mirroring or a what's the ghosting of the stars there. So there may be a frame that's been put in that hasn't been completely aligned, because there's a little bit of ghosting there. The windmill itself appears good, but just around the windmill and to the right of the windmill, there's actually a little bit of ghosting in the stars. So just having a good look at the files that have been put together there and making sure that that blending is being done appropriately. But beautiful shot.
Fantastic. That is sensational advice. And again, it's those little bits of attention to detail that make all the difference. Next image, thanks. And we have an astro landscape. The description is panorama using a 35mm lens made at the Fiery Furnace viewpoint inside Arches National Park.
Wow. So there's amazing detail in this shot, and plenty going on in the sky as well. This is probably a bit of repeated feedback. Certainly a lot of detail in the foreground, and with the astro landscape, we're really wanting to be looking into the back of the image and seeing the beautiful dark sky. And so that there's a very uncanny feeling when you've got a very dark sky there, and then the foreground's quite bright, and maybe not necessarily feel like it's nighttime just because of how it is lit, even though it may have been, or probably it was at the time. You could see the car light trails in the background. So it's just making sure that it all ties together, and if there's been lighting used, that is it too bright for the scenario and it's sort of overpowering the foreground as well. So this also seems to be a bit of a darker. It seems that there's a line I can see, maybe a blending line as well in the top there, where the top's a little bit darker than sort of the middle of the shot on the top left corner. So just keeping an eye on those blending and making sure that's all feathered and there's a nice gradient there. But I probably also, I can see we've got the arch there, and then we're leading into the fence line there. So that would be a distraction, but I can also see why the photographers included that end part there to complete the arch. So it's probably more about shaping the light for me in the foreground there and keeping that eye going through the image.
Yeah, look, absolutely brilliant feedback and so much detail in there, Luke. Thank you so much. It's quite interesting. When we polled judges about 5 years ago, we sent out a really large survey, and one of the core features that came back that judges are looking for is actually mood. So that when they see mood with an image and they feel moved by that mood, they're generally more likely to score it higher. So I love the idea of sort of darkening the foreground and so forth to bring you into the background of the landscape and really increasing the mood quality. Fantastic. Next image. We have an astro landscape, and the image description is Paul Wild signals, Sony A7 III, Sony FE 20mm, Benro Polaris, Tiffin Pro Mist 3 filter, ISO 3200, f2.2, 17 by 60 seconds.
Yes, the alignment here is pretty amazing. Great storytelling with the Milky Way coming straight out of the dish there. I'm just I'm pretty impressed by it. I think the part of it that's I'm struggling with is the very extreme foreground that's quite out of focus, and in my estimation it's probably not necessary to have that. There's a line there, maybe a kind of a cable that's going through the tracks there that it's on, and so that sort of first part of the image, it's very out of focus. Probably is acting to be more of a distraction than helping to tell the story of the depth of field fading in. I'm happy to be corrected there, and so you could quite easily lose that part of the image, and I think it would become quite a bit stronger of a shot as well. So it's beautifully done. Beautifully done.
Thanks, Luke. Andy, do you have something to add there?
Yeah, just picking up on your earlier comment about mood, you get a sense of the dynamic mood from this one, because it's the combination of using that Akira Fuji effect Pro Mist filter, where those stars have got that gentle sort of high altitude cloud feel, knocking them out of focus slightly, and it creates a slightly dreamy quality to the background. Plus, with the choice of color for the Milky Way itself, it's really bold and punchy, contrasting against the green light of the telescope dish itself. I think all those things make a very powerful and arresting image. And just taking on board Luke's suggestions about cropping, I think this image could do very well.
Fantastic. The Astro Prize is so much more than just a number at the end of the day. It's the education that comes with us. So thank you for sharing those gems of knowledge. I missed 3 filter. I think that might be something a few people might be adding to their kit by the sounds of things. Next image, thanks. We have a deep space image. The description is a reprocess of the H alpha data and reblending into the LRGB image from a previous day. 46 hours of integration on M83. Diego.
I can take on this one. And I believe this is one example of the environment around the target we are shooting. I like to see it framing that is not on the center, and the sharpness of the image talks by itself. The color palette of the photo, it's spot on. I have seen some renditions that take scenes too far away. This photo does it nicely. Background is clean and there is a lot of data involved on this integration. I think the photographer did a good job.
Sensational. Thanks so much, Diego. Andy, anything to add there?
Oh, I was just playing Where's Wally, pixel peeping all the little galaxies in the background that the photographers managed to reveal here. They look like they're really well done. Stars are crisp and round. There's not a lot to dislike about the way the image is produced, and I must agree with Diego. The framing looks good. Maybe just snip a little bit off the left-hand side for balance, but other than that, that 46 hours has been well used.
Fantastic comment. Thank you, gentlemen. Next image. And we have an astro landscape. So the description is, through the looking sphere, a contemplative composition where the cosmos is captured in miniature. The crystal ball inverts the night sky, reflecting a universe within, blending clarity and blur to challenge perspective and perception. Who would like to take this on? Oh, Luke, you're on mute, mate.
Sorry about that. Just trying not to affect background noise. It's a great concept, and I really can. I really love it when people try creative things in night sky shots and just really push themselves and try and go outside of the same parameters that we always think in. And it's really nice to be able to look into that ball and then see what the greater view would have been. I think what's challenging me with it is that because the ball's so much smaller in the actual shot, and what it's sitting on is there's a lack of like a subject interest value that makes it a bit more of a challenge to. I'd love to be a bit more immersed in that. And there's a red light just on the left side of the shot that tends to then bring your eye just to the end of the frame. And also, I think maybe also with the cropping, there's maybe a white line there on the right hand side of the shot as well. So, but it's really nicely taken. Certainly, from a technical execution, it's bang on with the sharpness and all of that too. So, great concept, and keep at it.
Amazing, fantastic feedback. Thank you so much, Luke. Next image, thanks. We have a deep space image, and the description is shot as a 4-panel mosaic with a Razer 11, with each panel drizzled to reveal details. Diego.
Lovely image that shows a lot of work. The astrophotographer shows a lot of stars and a lot of information with these nebulas. This left part of the image from Lagoon, not a softened image. Andy knows about it. I think I would have liked a bit more saturation on the blues and some more color contrast on the complete image in order to achieve a better rendition. But in general, it's a beautiful effort on this area of the sky.
Fantastic, great feedback. Thank you, Diego. Andy, did you have something to add there?
Yeah, look, you could get lost in that star field. I mean, it's kind of like that old saying about, are there more grains of sand on the Earth than there are stars in the sky? And there's a lot of stars in that sky. We're looking straight up into the core of the Milky Way. And the other thing about this image, and it's a little bit like that Vera Rubin Observatory image that was published recently. This photographer's done a really good job of presenting this target, I guess, and its surroundings. We do get a real sense of the player forces in the galaxy. I think it'd be nice to just get a little bit more detail into the core of the Lagoon Nebula M8 itself. I'd like to see a little bit more detail in there. And there's a bit of sort of some halos around the bright stars, which is a little distracting. I'm not sure the photographer can do anything about that at this point, though, but it might be an equipment selection choice with the filters that are being used. That said, there's a lovely translucency of the Trifid M20 Nebula at the top there. And as I said, I think overall it's a really dynamic image. Just a little more attention paid in post-production should lift it up a little bit higher.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Next image, thanks. We have an image in the solar system category. Annular solar eclipse from October 14th, 2023, captured using a Sigma 150 to 600 millimeter lens with a Sony camera and solar filter. Whew. Who'd like to take this one on?
Well, if no one else does, I'll start. I guess the first thing I'm seeing here with this punch is it's just so evocative of the cover of Cosmos, the Neil deGrasse Tyson series, because it really is a homage in some ways to that, and so it just sings with this sort of dynamic graphic quality that it presents. The core, I guess, the center of the image, you know, that placement has been really well captured. We're just seeing a little bit of detail on the moon itself, which I think works very well. And then there's even still some little bit of detail still to be seen in the images immediately to the right and left of the center. But overall, it's just a really punchy graphic composition that, you know, you could see this on the cover of a book or a magazine, anywhere. I just wonder though, if we're looking really nitpickingly careful at it, just in the blacks, there's a little bit of green showing up there, and I'm sure it's not my monitor because it's calibrated, but that's how it's appearing at the moment.
Oh, well, Diego, I'd like to add something to that. So, Diego, what are you saying?
I just want to say to the photographer that it excites me to see a photo that I want a big print of.
Congratulations to the photographer. I think we've got a few print sales going on here, which is exciting. One of our sponsors is actually Astrography, and this is what they do. They allow some of our winning entries to be able to be published and so forth. Luke, what would you like to add?
I was just going to add that you know, that I've been zooming in on a lot of these pictures, and that's about as sharp as any picture I've seen tonight. So they've also just completely, from a technical perspective, really nailed it and represented the, you know, the transition of the, you know, the bright white in the middle, and then moving to the more orange and on the edges. So yeah, conceptually, it's been a lot of thought put to it, and yeah, very appreciate it.
Yeah, fantastic. I think the entrant in this image has definitely nailed quite a few concepts here that has our judges excited. Andy, did you have another comment?
No, I think that's wrapped it up. But I'm sure the guys at Astrography would print a really beautiful copy of this if the entrant were to get a really high score of their image.
Fantastic. And it's worthwhile for our entrants to know. So we have 4 categories in the Astrophotography Prize, one of it which is our solar system category. So when we have images for that category, we have judges who specialize in that particular field. So if you enter your images online and you suggest that you would like some written feedback with your image, the people that will be writing that are those that really know exactly what you want to know about your solar image. So feel free to hit that feedback box, and you know you'll be hearing from the experts. All right, next image. This is an astro landscape, and we don't have a title.
Awesome. I can see what looks like a comet going on there, and quite a few bits and pieces going on in the sky. And it looks like a really interesting location, and getting some really nice light on the water in the distance. And I guess my natural inclination is to wonder to see what's happening down on the water, and I feel like I'm kind of being blocked a bit by the trees that are in the foreground here. So a big part of this one's kind of like what's the story that we're trying to tell with the image, and where is our eye trying to go. And with this particular shot, I'm sort of maybe picking out the comet in the top right there, and then it sort of becomes a bit more of a struggle to work out where my eyes, what the subject of the main subject where my eyes going should be. And so you kind of end up wandering around the image. So to the photographer, it's about finding or thinking about that visual journey through the image. Obviously want to probably end up at a star or Milky Way, or in this case it would be the comets that's there, and constructing the image in a way where your eye is going towards that. And so I think that's probably might be some more shots from this evening too that can convey that even better.
Yeah, fantastic comment. And that's another thing that we hear often from our judges. It's the way that your eye journeys through the image. As Luke mentioned, you sort of want them to sort of travel through and land up somewhere. And sometimes people use what's called the Fibonacci spiral, which you can overlay over your image, and that gives you a really lovely pathway throughout the image, and it may help with framing. But yeah, definitely going on a visual journey when you look at an image, you want to make sure you end up at that highlight, and that comment is very cool. Next image, thanks. And we have an astro landscape without a title. Thanks, Luke.
Just getting it to load for me. The internet must have slowed down. Here we go. Oh, fantastic. Love the leading lines here. You just want to walk straight down that jetty or that pier that's there and go straight under that Milky Way. There might be some interesting features in the water there as well, which I can see in the reflecting of the stars. It looks like just one of those evenings that you just want to be out there doing astro landscapes. I think I can even see another photographer in the distance, couple tripods on the end of the walkway there as well. It's executed super well too with the Milky Way arch panorama, and it's been put together so that it feels like a really great. It's not flat or skewed or anything like that, and a bit of air glow underneath there, probably as well. I think it's just from if there's some sort of feedback of improvement, it would be around balance here, and just the Milky Way is not centered, and so if it's just slightly off center, then it's already starting to feel a bit wobbly, and so it's just trying to get that pier or the jetty boardwalk there aligned with the Milky Way arch, so it all sort of ties together nicely. One thing could do in this scenario is have some light source or something right under the middle of the Milky Way to sort of start to tie it together, even that photographer that's there on the boardwalk. There's also on the bottom right-hand corner, there's just the very slight edge of probably the rest of the boardwalk there, if it's like a 180 there. And so that does add to being a distraction, that extreme right bottom corner, and maybe some stuff in the bottom left corner as well. So just keeping an eye on the corners of the image, because they do matter, and they give a feeling of completeness if they're free of distractions, and can help with that balance that I'm talking about too.
Yeah, brilliant. Fantastic detail there. Thank you so much, Luke. It's lovely to hear all the nitty-gritty of exactly what can be done to bring an image to the next level. Thank you so much. Next image, thanks. And we have an astro landscape. The description is old car rusting away under the Milky Way.
Oh, what a subject this one is. The stories that thing could tell. And with the similar to prior feedback in a way here, there's great sharpness, so there's no problem in terms of the photographer's work on the old car body there. It's just about tying it to the sky, really, and in this case the Milky Way is off on the left of this frame, and so if you're thinking of looking at the car body and then you look at the Milky Way, you're sort of being taken outside of the frame, and that's where the eye is sort of heading. And as in these sort of shots, we really want to have the eye staying in the shot and being immersed by that. So if there's a chance to align that Milky Way a little better with the car and sort of put it in a way where it stays all together, then that'll always do a lot better with the judging.
Yeah, fantastic. So much of really good landscape photography is about choosing the right target, and something like this, which has lots of character, I think, yeah, well done. Great choice. Next image, thanks. And we have an astro landscape. We don't have a title on this one.
No worries. Just, there we are. Fantastic. Yeah, that's another amazing Milky Way arch going on. I'm very jealous of these arches, and amazing like H alpha red colorations going through. Just having a closer look at the sky, and it's just so much detail, and the tiniest little pinpoint stars So it's the technical execution is just top notch here. And I think the blending has also been handled very nicely too, and also the highlights in the car trails as well. My only thought is it's very foreground dominant, but if you were to get rid of too much of that foreground, then the rocks wouldn't make sense, because it's got a really nice sort of V shape there within the rocks. So I can understand why you would include more of that. There is also quite a distracting rock on the right hand side in the bottom right corner. But whether that anchors the shot or not, yeah, I think it's, if anything, it would just be about balancing the light in the foreground a little bit to support a sort of a move through that foreground into that figure in the back who's quite dark. And so maybe that just would help with the eye going through the shot.
Yeah, fantastic. That is excellent feedback. Andy or Diego, would you like to add anything to this?
Love the strong color contrast in this. That contrast between the H alpha and the air glow is beautiful. It's also, I guess, from my own point of view, just seeing a bit of the Milky Way that we don't normally see with Cygnus on the far left. It's probably more seen in the northern hemisphere than down here. So it's commanding, it's arresting, it's got a lovely mood to it, and I think the photographer's done a terrific job.
Yeah, absolutely. That certainly has that punch of color that we love to see. Next image, thanks. This is a deep space image. It is M16, the Eagle Nebula. Diego?
Eagle is a lovely target. The photo shows good tracking, good focus, nice Newtonian telescope, good details on the nebula, good treatment of the stars. Because we don't have details, I don't know what's going on with the color contrast. We know, because we have shown it, that you can achieve a bit more on this image. And if anything, I can talk about a little bit of the black calibration on the background in order to improve a little bit what we see in the there is some star color. I can guess this is a HA03 image that he's been blending in there and trying to pull a lot of detail. If you look at the corners, the image, it's a well captured photo with good optical frame. It will be a matter of working a bit with that color contrast and the background, I think.
Fantastic. Thanks, Diego. Andy, anything to add there?
Just possibly lifting the shadow, the black point a little bit there. There's some hidden detail in M16 that we can and have seen in other images that we're not quite seeing here. But it's a lovely sharp image, and it's well framed. So just a little bit of extra attention in post-production should see it get a higher score.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We'll go to our next image. And we have a deep space image. It is M42 color manipulation. Diego.
It's a great target. I have visited this type of iterations and try to get something different from something that is really popular to shoot. This person is trying to pull detail, leaving away noise, in my opinion, and then smudging a little bit of the data. People need to be a little bit careful with how you blend and show the information, not to share. Someone, I remember, told me you need to show things as clouds because it's gas and not paid by numbers. And so you need to be really careful with your processing of what happens. Everything that is close to trapezium and those gas, I think they deserve a bit better treatment. Bit more work will improve what this person is trying to show in the photo.
Yeah, fantastic feedback. Andy, anything to add there?
I think echoing a little bit of what Diego said there. The image is well framed. It's got punch, and I think overall it's arresting. But when you get in closer and you see these blue areas that look kind of posterized, that's really doing all that fabulous, beautiful, soft, whimsical gas a bit of a disservice in the production. And I think if we're going to try a bold and arresting technique in what is often seen as a fairly technical competition, that kind of thing may sort of sway the judges in the wrong direction. So I just sort of go at that with a much more gentle hand, and just let that beautiful nebula just sing for itself. It's one of the most glorious objects in the sky for deep space folk to photograph.
Oh, fantastic feedback. Thank you so much. And judges, that's all we have time for tonight. We have some incredible images that have been submitted. And can I say thank you to all the entrants for putting your hand up and submitting images for us to have a look at. It's not always easy to do. The actual entrants' names are anonymous. So hopefully you've walked away with some great advice from our expert panel. Big thank you to our major sponsor Celestron and our category sponsors Sidereal and Move Shoot Move, Deep Sky West, Chroma Technology, and our runner-up sponsor Astrography. Gentlemen, you have done an extraordinary job tonight. Do any of you guys have a key takeaway from what you've seen tonight? And if you were to give one piece of advice to our entrants, what are we thinking?
Ooh. Be passionate, be bold, look at what you've got, look at it again. And if it still moves you, that's probably the kind of image that you want to consider submitting. Have a bit of a reference point. Look at other images if you've shot a particular target or location. Maybe have a look at what else is out there that's sort of been recognized and done well, because that could indeed set you a bit of a benchmark and a standard for what to aspire to. Have a look through the website of the Astrophotography Prize winners from last year and take a good long look at what won gold and what won silver and what was highly commended. That will probably give you a little bit of a calibration for, I guess, what the judges looked for last year. And good luck. We'd like to thank you all for, watching along tonight and indeed entering the Astrophotography Prize. We're really excited. We've got a fantastic team of judges lined up this year, so from all parts of the world. So can't wait to see what you enter.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy. Luke, Diego, any final takeaways?
I can say that I really find that it's really interesting that people is brave enough to put the data and their work out and get feedback from others, and I believe that's the way to grow and improve on whatever you're trying to do. That's really well done.
Yeah,
I agree with that as well. It's never easy to put yourself and all your hard work out there for someone to talk about and then say something different to what you're thinking or those sort of things. So certainly just take all our feedback as a grain of salt and something that you can take on and maybe try something a bit different. And from an astro landscape perspective, it's great just to think about that journey through the image, making sure that the foregrounds match the sort of the darkness of the sky and tells a complete story of what it was like to be there.
Yeah, fantastic. What great takeaways. It's funny when you create an image and you put it out there for other people to talk about and judge. It's really important just to create the image and be happy with it within yourself, because you've created that image according to what you feel is amazing and incredible. And always hold on to that feeling and know that, other people have opinions. The judges are incredibly well educated, but it's your artistic intent, and really be proud of everything that you've achieved. But we do have a reward tonight for those of you who have put your hand up and entered. Tonight we have a Celestron SkyMaster Pro 15x17 binoculars set to give away. It is valued at $300 US. So well done to everyone that entered. We'll have a second one to give away at our next critique night. So if you're watching online and didn't put images in, here is your bit of a nudge to do that next time. So we are drawing the winner from random selection. So I get to hit a random selection button, which gives me a number. And we have number 14. And our entrant number 14 is Daniel Paul from Australia. So congratulations, Daniel Paul. You have won a set of Celestron binoculars for putting your images into the competition tonight. So well done to you. Those of you that didn't enter tonight, definitely put one in for the next image critique night. Thank you again to our amazing sponsors, Don't forget to tune in for our next image critique night, and entries open soon, so start getting them ready and mark in your diaries the live judging weekend. And we will look forward to seeing you all then. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Oh my God, look at that picture over there. There's the Earth coming up. Wow, is that pretty?